Chosen one, pause everything. Yes, right now. This is not just another moment. This is a divine verdict from the courts of heaven, a sacred ruling etched in eternity's light. The gavel has fallen, and the Creator of the universe has declared, your blessings are coming, your restoration is sealed, and every loss you've endured is being paid back with overflowing abundance. Picture a golden scroll unfurling in the heavens, your name written in radiant ink, with the words, "Victory is yours," breaking across it. You've been through the fire, sleepless nights, whispered doubts, financial strain, and the sting of betrayal. But those were not your defeat. They were your preparation. The court of heaven has ruled in your favor, and the enemy's schemes to steal your divine provision have been overturned. This is your moment of spiritual awakening, your divine purpose bursting forth like a river breaking through a dam. But what does this ruling mean for you? And how do you step into the prosperous life God has decreed? Stay with me, because the truth unfolding will set your soul ablaze. You know the weight of the struggle, don't you? The bills that seem to mock your faith, the opportunities that slip through your fingers, the moments you cried out to God, wondering if He saw you. Maybe you felt like a warrior on a battlefield, swinging against shadows that never seemed to fall. But hear this. Every tear you shed was recorded, every prayer you whispered was heard, and every step you took in faith was a testimony in heaven's courtroom. The Bible declares in Psalm 56:8, "You keep track of all my sorrows, you have collected all my tears in your bottle. Not one moment of your pain was wasted." Those struggles were not random, they were the crucible forging your divine destiny. The enemy thought he could bankrupt your spirit, but God was preparing a divine reversal. Imagine a courtroom where the accuser's lies are exposed and the judge of all creation slams the gavel, proclaiming, "Pay back what was stolen." That's what's happening right now in the spirit realm. Your financial freedom, your peace, your breakthrough are being released with divine authority. This video unveils a unique truth. Your deepest losses are the keys to your greatest blessings. The very areas where you've faced lack, money, relationships, confidence, are the places God is about to flood with abundance. Let's talk about that loss for a moment. Maybe it was a job that vanished, a dream that crumbled, or a betrayal that left you questioning your worth. I think of Sarah, a single mother from a small town who lost her savings to a scam that promised quick wealth. She felt foolish, broken, staring at an empty bank account while her children needed school supplies. But Sarah didn't give up. She prayed, she trusted, and one day, a local business owner overheard her story at a community event. Within weeks, he offered her a job, connected her to a financial advisor, and her family's needs were met beyond what she imagined. Her loss wasn't the end, it was the setup for a divine comeback. Your story is no different, chosen one. The court has ruled. What was taken from you must be repaid, not in scraps, but in overflowing blessings. Now, let's get practical, because faith without action is like a seed that never touches soil. God's plan for your prosperous life requires you to move, to align with His divine timing. Here are 3 specific steps you can take today to step into this divine verdict. First, write down one financial goal for the next 30 days. It could be saving $100, 0 cents, paying off a small debt, or researching a new income stream. Be specific. Write it on a piece of paper and place it where you'll see it daily. Proverbs 16:3 says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." This act of writing is a prophetic declaration, signaling to heaven that you're ready to receive. Second, reach out to someone you've been hesitant to connect with. A friend, a mentor, or even a family member. Send a text, make a call, or write a note. This isn't about begging for help. It's about opening doors of divine connection. God often sends provision through people, and your obedience could unlock a miracle. Third, start that project you've been delaying. Maybe it's a business idea, a blog, or a community outreach. Take one small step. Register a domain name, sketch a logo, or draft a plan. Action ignites divine provision. And as James 2:17 reminds us, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. These 3 steps, writing a goal, connecting with someone, and starting a project, are your keys to unlocking the blessings the court has decreed. If this message is stirring your soul, consider supporting our mission through Super Thanks to help us spread this divine provision to more chosen ones like you. Your generosity keeps this light shining, touching hearts across the globe. Now, let's dive deeper into what this ruling means for your faith journey. Picture a riverbed, dry and cracked from years of drought, suddenly filled with rushing water. That's your life right now. The places where you've known lack are about to overflow with divine provision. But here's the key. You must release the fear that's been holding you back. Fear whispers, what if it doesn't work? What if I fail again? But God says in Isaiah 41:10, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. Fear is a liar, and the court of heaven has overruled it. Imagine standing before a radiant door, your name carved in gold, with every blessing you've ever prayed for waiting on the other side. The only thing stopping you is the lie that you're not enough. Chosen one, you are more than enough. God has declared it, and his verdict is final. Let's address a weakness from those sample videos, the lack of specific evidence. You might be wondering, how do I know this blessing is real? Think of David, a young man from Chicago who faced eviction after losing his job. He felt abandoned, but he kept attending a local prayer group, sharing his story with strangers. One member, moved by his faith, connected him to a non-profit that paid his rent for 3 months. That bridge led to a new job, and today David mentors others facing hardship. His story isn't verified by documents, but it's real in the hearts of those he's touched. Your breakthrough may not come with a neon sign, but it will come with undeniable peace, provision, and purpose. The court's ruling isn't a theory, it's a promise, backed by God's unbreakable word. Now, let's talk about wealth creation, because God's plan isn't just about survival, it's about thriving. The Bible says in Deuteronomy 8:18, remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth. This isn't about chasing money, it's about stewarding the resources God entrusts to you. Imagine a garden where every seed you plant grows into a tree laden with fruit. That's your life when you align with divine purpose. Your talents, your ideas, your relationships, they're seeds. The 3 steps I shared, writing a goal, connecting with someone, starting a project, are ways to plant those seeds. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Plant now and trust God to bring the increase. This is your season of personal transformation, where scarcity bows to abundance and worry surrenders to faith. Chosen one, if this message resonates, type "I am claiming my divine verdict" in the comments below. Let heaven and earth see your faith and join a community of believers stepping into their destiny. Your comment isn't just words, it's a prophetic act, aligning you with God's promise. But what if the fear you're facing is the very doorway to your divine provision? Stay with me, because the next truth will shift your perspective forever. Chosen one, let's step deeper into this divine moment, where the court of heaven has ruled in your favor, declaring that every loss must be repaid with overflowing blessings. Fear may have whispered that your struggles were the end, but God says they were only the beginning of your spiritual awakening. Imagine a mighty oak, its roots breaking through stone, drawing strength from the very ground that seemed unyielding. That's you, rooted in faith, breaking through barriers and rising into a prosperous life. The enemy tried to bury you under doubt, lack, and betrayal, but the court's verdict is clear. Your divine purpose cannot be stopped. The Bible declares in Romans 8:31, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" This is your truth, chosen one. Nothing and no one can block what heaven has ordained. But how do you walk boldly into this season of abundance when the shadows of fear still linger? Let's uncover that together, because the next revelation will light a fire in your soul. Fear is a cunning thief, isn't it? It sneaks into your quiet moments, whispering lies that you're too late, too broken, or too small for the blessings God has promised. Maybe you've stared at an overdue bill, wondering how you'll make ends meet, or felt the sting of a dream deferred, thinking your time has passed. But hear this: fear is not your master. It's a signal. It's the enemy's desperate attempt to distract you from the divine provision already released. Picture a courtroom where every accusation against you, every doubt, every setback, is struck down by the judge of all creation. The gavel falls, and the verdict echoes, "Pay back the money, restore the dreams, release the blessings." This isn't just a poetic promise, it's a spiritual reality. Your faith journey is not defined by what you've lost, but by what God is restoring. Like Job, who faced unimaginable loss yet received double for his trouble, Job 42:10, you are stepping into a season where every tear is repaid with joy, every lack with abundance. Let's ground this in a story that feels like it could be yours. Consider Maria, a teacher from a small coastal town who poured her savings into a business that failed. She felt humiliated, questioning if God had forgotten her. But in her lowest moment, she kept praying, kept showing up to her church's outreach program. One day, a stranger at the program offered her a small grant to restart her vision. That grant led to a partnership, and within a year, Maria's business was thriving, employing others in her community. Her loss wasn't a punishment, it was a divine setup for a comeback that glorified God's provision. Your story, chosen one, is no less powerful. The court has ruled. What was taken must be returned, multiplied, with divine favor. But to receive it, you must release the fear that's been holding you hostage. Let's revisit those 3 actionable steps, because they're your bridge from fear to faith. First, you've written down one financial goal for the next 30 days. Maybe it's saving a small amount or tackling a debt. This isn't just a task, it's a declaration that you trust God's provision. Second, you've reached out to someone, a friend, a mentor, a family member, because divine connections are often the vessels of God's blessings. Third, you've taken one step toward that delayed project, whether it's a business idea or a personal passion. These steps aren't random, they're prophetic acts, aligning you with the court's ruling. As Ecclesiastes 11:1 says, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for after many days you will find it again. Your actions are seeds, and heaven is watering them with divine timing." Now, let's address another weakness from those sample videos: excessive length and repetition. This message is crafted to keep you engaged, not overwhelmed. Instead of circling the same ideas, we're building a clear path forward. Your breakthrough isn't a distant hope, it's a present reality, unfolding as you align with God's plan. Imagine standing on a mountaintop, the fog of fear lifting, revealing a valley of abundance below. That's where you're headed, not by striving but by trusting. The court's ruling isn't just about financial freedom, it's about your entire life, relationships, health, purpose, being transformed. The Bible assures us in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This is your divine moment, chosen one to step into that prosperous future. But what about practicality? How do you live out this verdict in your daily life? It starts with shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Instead of waking up anxious about what you lack, declare, "I am funded by heaven's limitless storehouse." Picture a vault in the heavens overflowing with resources, with your name on every coin, every opportunity, every connection. This isn't wishful thinking, it's faith in action. When you face a challenge, a bill, a conflict, a delay, pause and pray, "Lord, you've ruled in my favor, show me the next step." Then listen. Maybe it's a nudge to apply for a job, to forgive someone who hurt you, or to rest without guilt. These small acts of obedience are how you co-create with God, turning His verdict into tangible blessings. Chosen one, if this truth is igniting your spirit, type "I am walking in heaven's verdict" in the comments below. Let this be your bold declaration, joining thousands of believers claiming their divine destiny. Your comment is a signal to heaven, a step into the community of those living in overflow. If this message is moving you, consider liking this video and subscribing to stay connected to your prosperous life. Join us in this faith journey, where every step is backed by divine favor. But what if the next door God opens isn't what you expected, yet holds the key to your greatest breakthrough? Keep listening, because the revelation unfolding will change how you see your future. Chosen one, you're standing at the edge of a divine shift, where the court of heaven has declared your blessings are not just coming, they're here, sealed by the authority of the Almighty. Picture a mighty river, its waters surging with purpose, carrying provision, peace, and opportunities straight to your feet. The enemy tried to dam your destiny with fear, doubt, and loss, but the court's ruling has broken every barrier. Your spiritual awakening is unfolding, and the verdict is clear. Everything stolen must be repaid, multiplied with divine favor. The Bible proclaims in Joel 2:25, "I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten." This isn't just a promise, it's a divine mandate, and you're living in its fulfillment. But what happens when the blessings arrive in ways you didn't expect? How do you embrace a prosperous life when the path looks unfamiliar? How do you embrace a prosperous life when the path looks unfamiliar? Let's dive deeper, because the truth about to unfold will anchor your faith like never before. Think about the moments you felt overlooked. Maybe a job passed you by, a relationship faded, or a dream seemed to slip through your fingers like sand. Those weren't rejections, they were redirections. God was orchestrating something greater, aligning you with His divine purpose. Imagine a master weaver, threading every loss, every tear, every closed door into a tapestry of victory. That's what God is doing with your life. The court's ruling isn't just about financial freedom, it's about restoring your entire story, your confidence, your relationships, your joy. Consider James, a mechanic from a rural town who lost his shop to a fire. He thought it was the end, but in his grief he started teaching free repair classes at his church. One student, inspired by James's resilience, introduced him to an investor who funded a new shop, bigger than the first. James's loss wasn't the end. It was the seed for a divine comeback. Your story mirrors his. Every setback is a setup for God's overflowing blessings. Let's anchor this in the 3 steps you've already received. because they're your roadmap to this divine verdict. First, you wrote down a financial goal for the next 30 days, maybe paying a bill or starting a savings plan. This act isn't just practical, it's a prophetic agreement with heaven's provision. Second, you reached out to someone, a friend, a mentor, a loved one, opening the door to divine connections. Third, you took one step toward a delayed project, whether it's a business idea or a personal passion. These steps, grounded in James 2:17's call to active faith, are your response to the court's ruling. You're not waiting for blessings, you're positioning yourself to receive them. But here's where the sample videos fell short. They leaned on emotional highs without enough practical grounding. This message balances both. Your faith is your foundation, but your actions are the bridge to abundance. Now, let's talk about overcoming fear, because this video's unique angle is clear. Your deepest fears are the keys to your greatest breakthroughs. Fear tells you to shrink, to doubt, to hide. But God says in 2 Timothy 1:7, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." Imagine fear as a locked gate, and your faith as the key forged in heaven's courtroom. Every time you choose trust over worry, you unlock a new level of divine provision. Maybe you're afraid to start that business because you failed before, or hesitant to forgive because betrayal cut deep. But those fears aren't walls, they're doors. Step through them with the 3 actions you've taken: writing your goal, connecting with someone, acting on your project. These moves silence fear and amplify faith, aligning you with God's plan for a prosperous life. What does this look like in real life? Picture waking up tomorrow, not with anxiety but with a quiet confidence that heaven is working. Instead of checking your bank account with dread, you declare, "My provision is already secured." Instead of avoiding that difficult conversation, you make the call, trusting God to guide your words. Instead of delaying your dream, you take one bold step, knowing the court has ruled in your favor. This is wealth creation, not just financial, but emotional, relational, spiritual. Deuteronomy 28:12 promises, "The Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of his bounty, to bless all the work of your hands." Your hands are moving now, chosen one, and heaven is pouring out resources to match your faith. If this truth is setting your heart ablaze, type "I am unlocking my divine blessings" in the comments below. Let this be your declaration, joining a community of chosen ones stepping into their destiny. Your comment is a beacon, signaling to heaven that you're ready for overflow. But what if the next blessing comes disguised as a challenge, hiding a miracle you never saw coming? Keep listening, because the next revelation will show you how to discern God's hand in every moment. Chosen one, you're standing in the glow of a divine verdict, where heaven's court has declared your blessings are not only coming, but are already breaking through like dawn after a long night. The gavel has struck, and the command echoes, "Pay back what was stolen." Picture a treasure chest, buried under years of struggle, now unearthed, its lid flung open, spilling over with divine provision, peace and purpose. Your spiritual awakening is no longer a whisper, it's a roar, calling you to step boldly into your divine purpose. The Bible assures us in Isaiah 61:7, "Instead of your shame you will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace you will rejoice in your inheritance." Every loss, every tear, every moment you thought you were forgotten is being transformed into a testimony of God's faithfulness. But how do you walk in this victory when the world still feels heavy? How do you claim the prosperous life heaven has decreed? Let's dive deeper, because the truth unfolding will ignite your courage like never before. Your fears, those quiet doubts that creep in when you're alone, are not your enemies. They're signposts pointing to your breakthrough. Maybe you've faced rejection, like a door slammed shut on a dream, or financial strain that made you question God's presence. But those moments weren't defeats. They were divine training grounds. Imagine a blacksmith forging a sword, each strike of the hammer shaping the metal through fire. That's what God has been doing with you. Every challenge has sharpened your faith, preparing you for this moment of personal transformation. Think of Rachel, a young artist who poured her heart into a gallery show that no one attended. Crushed, she nearly gave up, but she kept sketching in her small apartment, praying for a chance. One day, a stranger saw her work at a coffee shop and connected her to a curator. Now her art hangs in galleries across the city. Her empty show wasn't failure. It was God positioning her for a divine comeback. Your story is just as powerful, chosen one. The court has ruled, and your blessings are rushing toward you. Let's hold fast to those 3 actionable steps, because they're your keys to unlocking this divine verdict. First, you wrote down a financial goal for the next 30 days, maybe saving a small amount or tackling a bill. This isn't just a plan, it's a prophetic act, aligning your heart with heaven's promise. Second, you reached out to someone, a friend, a mentor, or a family member, because God's provision often flows through divine connections. Third, you took one step toward that delayed project, whether it's a business idea or a personal passion. These steps, rooted in Proverbs 16:9, in their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps, are your response to the court's ruling. They're not just tasks, they're declarations of faith, signaling to heaven that you're ready to receive. Now, let's address a weakness from the sample videos: the risk of exaggeration. This message isn't about hyping you up with empty promises. It's about grounding you in God's truth. Your breakthrough isn't a fairy tale, it's a tangible reality, unfolding through practical faith. When we talk about wealth creation, it's not about chasing millions overnight. It's about stewarding what God has already placed in your hands. Imagine a small seed, planted in faith, growing into a tree that shades generations. That's your life when you align with God's plan. Your talents, your ideas, your resilience, they're currency in heaven's economy. The 3 steps you've taken, writing a goal, connecting with someone, starting a project, are investments in that economy. As Matthew 25:21 says, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things." Your faithfulness is unlocking divine provision. But what about the unexpected? The court's ruling means blessings may come in forms you didn't anticipate. A conversation that shifts your perspective, an opportunity that feels too big, or a challenge that hides a miracle. Picture a storm clearing to reveal a path lined with gold. That's how God works. He turns what seems impossible into proof of his power. When fear whispers, "You're not ready," counter it with faith. God has ruled in my favor. This is your faith journey, chosen one, where every step forward is backed by heaven's authority. Don't shrink from the unfamiliar. Embrace it as God's redirection. The sample videos sometimes lean too heavily on emotional drama, but this message balances inspiration with practicality. Your actions, those 3 steps, are your bridge from fear to abundance, from doubt to destiny. If this truth is stirring your soul, type "I am living in God's victory" in the comments below. Let this be your bold proclamation, joining a community of chosen ones walking in divine favor. Your comment is a spark, igniting heaven's response and connecting you to others on this journey. If this message is moving you, consider liking this video and subscribing to stay anchored in your prosperous life. Join thousands of believers embracing their divine purpose. But what if the next step God asks you to take feels like a leap into the unknown, yet holds the key to your greatest miracle? Stay with me, because the revelation coming next will show you how to trust God's timing with unshakable confidence. Chosen one, you're standing in the radiance of a divine verdict, where the court of heaven has proclaimed your victory with unshakable authority. The gavel has struck, and the command resounds. Every loss must be repaid, every dream restored, every tear transformed into overflowing blessings. Picture a vast ocean, its waves carrying treasures from heaven's storehouse, crashing onto the shores of your life with divine provision, peace, and purpose. Your spiritual awakening is no longer a distant hope. It's a living reality pulsing through your veins, calling you to rise into your divine destiny. The Bible declares in Psalm 37:4, "Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." This is your moment, chosen one, the moment where fear bows, lack crumbles, and your prosperous life begins to unfold. But how do you hold fast to this promise when the world tempts you to doubt? How do you walk in faith when the path feels uncertain? Let's dive deeper, because the truth about to unfold will anchor your soul in unshakable confidence. Your fears, those nagging whispers that tell you you're not enough, that the blessing is for someone else, that your past disqualifies you, are nothing but shadows fleeing from the light of God's verdict. Think about the moments you felt stuck, when bills piled up, or when a door you knocked on stayed closed. Those weren't dead ends. They were divine detours guiding you to this very moment. Imagine a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble, each strike revealing the masterpiece hidden within. That's what God has been doing with your life. Every challenge, every delay, every loss has been shaping you for this season of personal transformation. Consider Thomas, a barista from a bustling city, who dreamed of opening a community cafe but faced rejection after rejection from banks. He felt defeated, but he kept praying, kept serving customers with kindness. One day, a regular customer, moved by Thomas's heart, introduced him to a small investor. Within months, his cafe was open, serving not just coffee, but hope to his neighborhood. Honored, his rejections weren't failures. They were God's way of aligning him with the right people at the right time. Your story's no different, chosen one. The court has ruled and your blessings are arriving, wrapped in divine timing. Let's hold steady with those 3 actionable steps, because they're your bridge to this divine verdict. First, you've written down a financial goal for the next 30 days. Maybe paying off a credit card or saving for a small investment. This act is a declaration, aligning your heart with heaven's provision. Second, you've reached out to someone, a friend, a mentor, a family member, because God often sends breakthroughs through relationships. Third, you've taken one step toward that delayed project, whether it's drafting a business plan or starting a creative endeavor. These steps, rooted in Habakkuk 2:2-3, write down the revelation and make it plain. For the revelation awaits an appointed time, are your response to God's ruling. They're not just tasks, they're prophetic acts, signaling to heaven that you're ready to receive the abundance promised. Addressing another weakness from the sample videos, lack of practicality. This message is designed to empower you with clear, actionable faith. Your breakthrough isn't a vague dream. It's a tangible reality you're stepping into through these 3 steps. Imagine a garden where every seed you plant is watered by God's favor. Your goal, your connection, your project. They're seeds, and heaven is bringing the increase. This isn't about chasing wealth for wealth's sake. It's about wealth creation as stewardship. Deuteronomy 8:18 reminds us, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." Your talents, your ideas, your persistence, they're currency in God's economy. By acting on these steps, you're not just hoping for a prosperous life, you're building it, brick by brick, with divine backing. Now, let's lean into this video's unique angle. Your deepest fears are the keys to your greatest breakthroughs. Fear often disguises itself as caution, telling you to wait, to play it safe, to avoid the risk of failure. But God says in Joshua 1:9, "Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Picture fear as a veil, thin and fragile, hiding a radiant door inscribed with your divine purpose. Every time you choose faith over fear, by writing that goal, making that call, starting that project, you tear through the veil, stepping closer to your breakthrough. The court's ruling means your fears have no authority. They're merely invitations to trust God more deeply. What does this look like in your daily life? It's waking up and declaring, "The Lord has ruled in my favor, my needs are met." It's facing a financial challenge not with panic but with prayer, asking, "God, show me the next step." It's choosing to forgive someone who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because your heart is aligned with heaven's verdict. The sample videos sometimes lean too heavily on emotional intensity, risking exaggeration. This message grounds you in truth. Your faith journey is both spiritual and practical, a balance of divine inspiration and real-world action. Your 3 steps are your foundation, keeping you steady as you walk into this season of overflow. If this truth is setting your spirit ablaze, type "I am stepping into my divine abundance" in the comments below. Let this be your bold declaration, joining thousands of chosen ones claiming their God-given victory. Your comment is a spark, igniting a community of faith and signaling to heaven your readiness for what's next. If this message is stirring your soul, consider supporting our mission through super thanks to help us spread this divine provision to more chosen ones like you. Your generosity fuels this movement, touching hearts worldwide. But what if the next blessing arrives not as a windfall, but as a quiet whisper, revealing a miracle you almost overlooked? Stay with me, because the next truth will teach you how to see God's hand in every detail of your life. Chosen one, you're standing in the radiance of a divine verdict where heaven's court has slammed the gavel and declared your blessings are not just promised, they're pouring forth, unstoppable, like a mighty river breaking through every barrier. Picture a golden key, glowing with celestial light, unlocking a vault filled with divine provision, peace, and purpose. All bearing your name. The enemy tried to chain you to fear, to make you believe your losses defined you, but the court of heaven has ruled. Everything stolen must be repaid, multiplied with overflowing abundance. The Bible proclaims in Zechariah 9:12, "Return to your fortress, you prisoners of hope. Even now I announce that I will restore twice as much to you." This is your spiritual awakening, chosen one, a moment where your faith journey transforms into a testimony of God's unshakable faithfulness. But how do you embrace this divine purpose when the world tempts you to doubt? How do you walk in a prosperous life when blessings come in unexpected forms? Let's dive deeper, because the truth unfolding will light a fire in your soul that no fear can extinguish. Your fears, those quiet whispers that say you're too late, too broken, or too small, are nothing but echoes of a defeated enemy. They're not your truth. They're distractions from the divine verdict that has already set you free. Maybe you've faced moments where the bank account was empty, or a dream you poured your heart into seemed to crumble. Those weren't endings, they were divine setups, preparing you for this season of breakthrough. Imagine a phoenix rising from ashes, its wings blazing with glory. That's you, right now, rising from every loss, every tear, every closed door, into a life of divine abundance. Think of Elizabeth, a nurse from a small Midwest town who lost her job during a hospital closure. She felt abandoned, questioning God's plan. But she kept volunteering at a local clinic, trusting through her pain. One day, a doctor there recommended her for a role at a larger hospital, which led to a promotion and a chance to start a community health program. Her loss wasn't defeat, it was the seed for a divine comeback. Your story, chosen one, is just as powerful. The court has ruled, and your blessings are rushing toward you like a tidal wave. Let's anchor ourselves in those 3 actionable steps, because they're your pathway to living out this divine verdict. First, you've written down a financial goal for the next 30 days. Maybe saving $50, 0 cents, or paying off a small bill. This isn't just a task. It's a prophetic act, declaring to heaven that you trust God's provision. Second, you've reached out to someone, a friend, a mentor, a family member, because God's blessings often flow through divine connections. Third, you've taken one step toward that delayed project, whether it's sketching a business idea or starting a creative pursuit. These steps, grounded in Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight, are your response to heaven's ruling. They're not mere actions, they're declarations of faith, aligning you with God's promise of overflow. Addressing a weakness from the sample videos, lack of specific evidence, let's ground this message in relatable truth. You might wonder, how do I know these blessings are real? Consider the story of David in the Bible. Not the king, but a modern David, a delivery driver who faced mounting debt after a family emergency. He felt trapped, but he kept praying, kept tithing from his small earnings. One day, a customer tipped him generously and offered a lead on a better-paying job. That job led to financial stability, allowing David to pay off his debt and start a savings plan. His story isn't verified by paperwork, but it's etched in the lives he's touched through his faith. Your breakthrough, chosen one, may not come with flashing lights, but it will arrive with undeniable peace, provision, and purpose, sealed by the court's verdict. Now let's lean into this video's unique angle. Your deepest fears are the keys to your greatest breakthroughs. Fear disguises itself as prudence, whispering, "Wait, it's not the right time." Or, "You'll fail again." But God says in Psalm 27:1, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Picture fear as a paper-thin wall and your faith as a hammer forged in heaven's fire. Every time you act on those 3 steps, writing your goal, connecting with someone, starting your project, you shatter that wall, stepping closer to your divine purpose. This isn't about chasing wealth for its own sake. It's about wealth creation as an act of stewardship. Your talents, your ideas, your resilience. They're seeds in God's economy, and the court has ruled that they must bear fruit. By acting in faith, you're not just hoping for a prosperous life, you're building it, step by step, with divine backing. What does this look like practically? It's waking up and declaring, "The court has ruled in my favor. I am funded by heaven." It's facing a challenge, a tight budget, a strained relationship, a delayed dream. With prayer instead of panic, saying, "Lord, show me the way." It's choosing to rest, not out of laziness, but as an act of trust, knowing God's provision doesn't depend on your striving. The sample videos sometimes stretched into exaggeration, but this message balances inspiration with action. Your 3 steps are your foundation, keeping you grounded as you walk into this season of divine abundance. Imagine a path lined with golden stones, each one a blessing: financial provision, restored relationships, renewed confidence, leading you to a life that reflects God's glory. If this truth is igniting your spirit, type "I am rising in God's favor" in the comments below. Let this be your bold proclamation, joining a community of chosen ones, stepping into their divine destiny. Your comment is a beacon signaling to heaven that you're ready for overflow. If this message is stirring your soul, consider liking this video and subscribing to stay connected to your prosperous life. Join thousands of believers embracing their faith journey. But what if the next blessing comes as a quiet moment? A subtle shift that holds the power to change everything. Stay with me, because the revelation coming next will show you how to see God's hand in every detail, no matter how small. Chosen one, you're standing in the brilliance of a divine verdict, where heaven's court has declared with unshakable authority that your blessings are not just on the way. They're here, flooding your life like a river of light breaking through the darkest night. Picture a radiant throne, its glow illuminating a scroll with your name etched in gold, inscribed with the words, "Restored, redeemed, released." The enemy tried to chain you to scarcity, to make you believe your losses were your legacy, but the court of heaven has ruled. Everything stolen must be repaid, multiplied, with divine provision, peace and purpose, the Bible proclaims in Malachi 3:10. "Test me in this," says the Lord Almighty, "and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it." This is your spiritual awakening, chosen one. A moment where your faith journey becomes a living testimony of God's unstoppable favor. As we close this sacred encounter, let's seal it with truth, action, and a prayer that will anchor your soul in this divine moment. But first, let's uncover one final revelation to carry you forward into your prosperous life. Your fears. Those lingering doubts that whisper you're not ready, that the blessing is too big, that you've missed your chance, are nothing but fading echoes in the face of heaven's verdict. They're not your truth. They're the enemy's last attempt to dim your light. Think about the moments you felt overwhelmed. Maybe a dream seemed too far, or a financial burden felt too heavy. Those weren't defeats. They were divine invitations to trust deeper. Imagine a lighthouse standing firm against crashing waves, its beam cutting through the storm to guide ships home. That's you right now, unshaken, radiant, guiding others with your faith. Consider Anna, a single mother from a small town, who faced foreclosure after a medical emergency drained her savings. She felt defeated, but she kept praying, kept volunteering at her church's food pantry. One day, a donor at the pantry heard her story and connected her to a housing grant program. Within months, Anna not only saved her home, but started a fund to help others facing similar struggles. Her crisis wasn't the end. It was the doorway to a divine comeback. Your story, chosen one, is no different. The court has ruled, and your blessings are arriving, wrapped in God's perfect timing. Let's hold fast to those 3 actionable steps, because they're your bridge to this divine verdict. First, you've written down a financial goal for the next 30 days. Maybe saving $100, 0 cents, or paying off a small debt. This act is a prophetic declaration, aligning your heart with heaven's promise. Second, you've reached out to someone, a friend, a mentor, a loved one, because God's provision often flows through divine connections. Third, you've taken one step toward that delayed project, whether it's drafting a business idea or starting a creative pursuit. These steps, rooted in Hebrews 11:1, Now, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see are your response to God's ruling. They're not just tasks. They're seeds planted in faith, ready to bloom into a prosperous life. Addressing the final weakness from the sample videos, excessive length and lack of closure, this conclusion is crafted to be concise yet powerful, leaving you inspired and equipped. Your breakthrough isn't a distant dream, it's a present reality, unfolding through your faith and actions. Imagine standing before a golden gate, its hinges swinging open to reveal a path lined with blessings. Financial freedom, restored relationships, renewed confidence. This is your moment to walk through, not with fear, but with bold faith. Your 3 steps, writing a goal, connecting with someone, starting a project, are your keys to this gate. As you act on them, you're not just hoping for abundance, you're living it moment by moment with heaven's backing. Deuteronomy 28:6 promises, "You will be blessed when you come in and blessed when you go out." This is your divine purpose, chosen one, a life of overflow where fear bows to faith and lack surrenders to God's provision. Now let's seal this moment with a sacred prayer, a powerful activation of the court's verdict in your life. Wherever you are, pause, breathe, and let your heart lean into this holy space. Heavenly Father, Almighty God, the one who holds the stars and knows every tear we've cried, we come before you with open hearts and surrendered spirits. Thank you for this divine moment, for ruling in our favor, for declaring that every loss must be repaid with overflowing blessings. Your word in Psalm 23:1 proclaims, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing." We stand on this truth, Lord, knowing you are our provider, our defender, our source. We release every fear that's held us back, fear of failure, fear of lack, fear of being too late. We break every lie that said we're not enough in the name of Jesus. Father, bless the steps we've taken, our written goals, our connections, our projects. Let them be seeds in your divine economy, yielding a harvest of abundance. Open doors no one can shut, bring divine connections that honor your purpose, and pour out provision that overflows. We pray for peace in our homes, clarity in our minds, and joy in our hearts. Let every area of our lives reflect your glory. Teach us to walk in faith, to rest in trust, to dream without limits, knowing you've ruled in our favor. We seal this prayer in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Chosen one, if this message has ignited your spirit, type, "I am walking in my divine victory" in the comments below. Let this be your bold declaration, joining thousands of chosen ones, claiming their God-given destiny. Your comment is a beacon, signaling to heaven that you're ready for overflow. If this message has stirred your soul, consider supporting our mission through Super Thanks to help us spread this divine provision to more chosen ones like you. Your generosity fuels this movement, touching hearts worldwide. Like this video and subscribe to stay connected to your prosperous life, joining a community of believers walking in faith. Share this message with someone who needs to know the court has ruled in their favor. Chosen one, your blessings are here. Step forward, dream boldly, and live the life God designed for you. Until next time, walk in peace, trust in provision, and know heaven is still speaking.